Welcome to 30-Minute Reviews. I am Adam. So I started to do this episode last week, but then I got sidetracked with a million other things going on, and I was going to do it earlier this week, and I was going to do Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End, and something else came out this week. Johnny Depp's also in it. Came out on DVD. I didn't see it in theaters, first time since Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone that I haven't seen the movie in theaters. When it came out, and of course I'm talking about Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald. Now, I've addressed my issue with the title before, where Part A of the title and Part B of the title have absolutely nothing to do with each other, which is great because it also perfectly sums up the problem with this movie. Plot A and Plot B have nothing to do with each other. I discussed this briefly on Twitter yesterday. I think that one of my biggest problems with the movie is, number one, the main cast of the movie is, kind of relegated to the B plot. And there's not, the movie has a lot of nothing packed into it. Where it's I couldn't tell you, I watched it yesterday, I couldn't tell you what the point of the movie is besides he wants to reunite with, Tina after, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. He went back to Britain, he wants to reunite with Tina. Tina is looking for credence. Grindlewald is looking for credence. Dumbledore is looking for credence. And then he kind of gets whisked along to look for credence as well. I don't think anyone actually succeeds in finding credence until the very end, because Credence is off on his own little side quest with Nagini trying to find his heritage, because that's just needed more Star Wars stupidity. So he goes off to find out who his parents are, and he gets told in a third act beginning that is probably one of the worst starts to a third act in a movie that I've seen in a long time, an exposition dump. A flashback-driven exposition dump that isn't even the real truth. So Grindelwald, so he finds out from this guy who's been meeting with Tina through the movie, or at one point in the movie at least. He finds out that he's a Lestrange. That's what they tell him, is that Leta Lestrange, that's her brother who was presumed dead, and that is Leta Lestrange's brother, is who Credence is, I believe, if I remember correctly. So then Grindelwald finds him, and then he goes with Grindelwald, and then the third act happens, which is really, just boring. It's not even a fun confrontational third act where it's we know it's going to be resolved in one of the next 3 movies after this clusterfuck, where it's we have to just kind of bide time, so it's going to amount to nothing ultimately. But it's not even like that. It's the problem with it is the fact that it just nothing happens. It's it's a rally. It's a Nazi rally functionally. He shows the people that if we don't rise up, then this is going to happen, and he's World War II is going to happen. Then he, then he goes and he's, he is off, and everyone leaves it for a few, and it's who's going to join me, and then, Queenie joins him, and Queenie's got a really weird plot line in this movie, too. Nagini's just kind of there for no reason. I think she joins him in the end. Credence joins him, and they all leave. There's a giant fire, and that's the big third act thing, is them trying to put out this giant fire. And, Newt's brother is there, and it's, for no reason at all. There's just a lot of nothing going on in the movie. And then the movie ends with the big reveal that Credence is not actually a member of the Lestrange family. He is Dumbledore's brother, and then Fawkes, I believe it is, whatever, why not? It's the same Phoenix. We'll go say it's the same Phoenix. Shows up and shows himself to Credence. Credence gets a wand, and now we're going into the third movie. Now here's my problem with this. Okay? When you go this far back, you can tell stories and not have characters all tied to characters that we already know. It's the same problem we have with Star Wars. Why does everyone need to be fucking related? No one needs to be related. We don't need to have everyone related. And then on top of that, because everyone's related, you have these giant reveals, who's this person, who's this person, who's this person. And it's really, that doesn't matter. if you just had them not related, it would have been just as big of a reveal that they were working with Grindelwald. It would have worked better, because it's like, when you have the name Lestrange, you're assuming they're working with Grindelwald. It's not good. It's not well planned out. It just comes off as it's just a cheap reveal designed to get asses in seats. That's all it is. So this movie is not great, and I think I watched the extended edition, and it didn't really add anything to the movie. It's not like anything was greater explained or greater, like, it's not like, the only movie I've seen the director's cut of that the movie got substantially better from, a bad movie got better from the director's cut, was Batman v Superman. That did not happen with this movie. Whereas, like, if this is the director's cut, then how bad was the original? It's like, if you watch the Suicide Squad director's cut, you're like, Jesus, fuck, what happened here? So we'll wrap up there with Fantastic Beasts, Crimes of Grindelwald. It'll be on TV during Harry Potter weekend at some point. If you're going to really watch it then. If you really care about Harry Potter, you probably have seen it already. But it's like, it's just such a bad movie. It's just, functionally a bad movie, where it's like, exposition, the way that's done here, would have worked in a book, I think. If she wrote this as a book, it would have worked better. An exposition done. Because if you remember, the third act of, the final confrontation between Harry and Voldemort in Deathly Hallows happens very differently in the book. There's no giant cinematic chase through the castle where Harry's clinging on to him and they're fighting and they're, there's no giant thing. Functionally, what happens is Harry blocks him and Voldemort off, so that way he's there. And then he explains to Voldemort how the wand he's holding isn't really his wand to control. And then, after that, because of that, the wand backfires on him when he's trying to beat Harry. And that's how he dies, because the wand doesn't obey him properly, and the spell kind of backfires on him. And that's how it ends. It's not a big cinematic thing like it was in the movie. It was an exposition dump. Functionally, it was an exposition dump about how it's like, well, before before Dumbledore was killed by Snape, Draco disarmed him. Because Draco disarmed him, the wand's ownership passed to Draco. Then I disarmed Draco, so the wand ownership, that's literally what the third act is. It's Harry explaining that, and then there's just a single thing, and then that's it. That's the end of it. And I feel like that would have worked. This would have worked better in a book, but it doesn't work well in a movie. So we'll wrap up there with that. But if you want to see it, you can get it on demand now. It's not great, but it's passable. Some of the effects are really nice. But yeah, it's an interesting thing. It's just, if you like Newt, don't expect a lot of Newt. So yeah, we will move on to my other topic I wanted to discuss this week, which is kind of comes off of this. The Flash movie is anticipated to enter production in November. And the reason why it's taken so long is because Ezra Miller, who was cast as Barry Allen in Justice League and would have been getting his own movie, was also cast as Credence in Fantastic Beasts, so he had prior commitments. That said, he could not be, he could not be in two places at once, and they put the Flash movie on the back burner as a result. And I was thinking about it on my way home from work the other day. Is there a way to do the Flash movie without the Flash in it? If you're really so committed to Ezra Miller, and I don't think anyone is that committed to Ezra Miller as Barry Allen, because I'm not. But if you really need Ezra Miller to be Barry Allen, and that's really what you need, then what you do is you do Flash versus the Rogues. You don't do Flashpoint. I think doing Flashpoint's a big mistake. It's an interesting way to exposit all of Barry's backstory without it feeling redundant, but or it feeling like an origin movie. But I think that this is a better way to do it. So here's how I would do it. Okay, you have your rogues. Okay, you make the movie all about them, an Ocean's 11 style heist movie, where some other crime family is coming into Central City. You make it where it's like you make the leader either Mirror Master or Captain Cold. they're getting out of prison because the Flash locked them all up. They're all known to be criminals. The Flash locked them up. And you have them all be, they're all there. And they are who you follow in the movie. They're trying to steal this. And then what you do is you give Barry minimal screen time because he and, I don't know, cast Wally in the movie too, are trying to see, they suspect the rogues are up to something, but they don't know what it is. And then the third act happens, but Barry's also getting inklings to the movie that this is happening. Something big is being moved into Central City, and they want to stop it from happening. Similar to how Batman functions in Batman v Superman, where it's like, there's the White Russian that he's trying to, that's being moved in. It's just the kryptonite. He wants the kryptonite, so he's tracking the kryptonite. You show Barry being a detective with that, and he's trying to get the kryptonite, or whatever it is they're trying to get into the city. So then what happens is, now you have, the whole movie's about either, for the rogues, about heist prep, and them agreeing it's gonna be, we're gonna do this one last time, we're gonna, one last job, then we're out, and all of that. Then, what happens is the third act happens, and now Barry is trying to stop the thing too. The rogues are trying to stop the thing. And then what happens is, it comes to a head in a conflict. Barry comes face to face. You have a nice third act fight where you have, so if I'm going to do rogues, I'm going to do Mirror Master, the top, Captain Cold, let's do Heatwave, Abracadabra, and who else do we do? I want to put a sixth one in. No, 5's fine. We don't need to do 6. He's not Spider-Man. So that's a fine lineup. And you get Barry facing off against all these people at once. And then all of a sudden, they have a realization that they're both fighting for the same thing. And then Barry realizes, let's just let them do this. Let's just let them destroy this thing. We'll let them handle it. And if it goes wrong, then that happens. I'll be close by. And it may not be the best opportunity for Barry. It may not make Barry look the best, but it shows, that happens. I think that'd be a much more interesting movie than doing Flashpoint. Especially if you're not doing Flashpoint in the Justice League event. Because that should be a Justice League event movie. And that's what they should really be doing, is just these giant Elseworld event movies, where it's like you have Wonder Woman, you have Aquaman, both of whom have had tremendous movies that have taken off and everyone loves them in them. So there you go, you have that. You have someone cast as Cyborg, you have cast as Citizen Cold and all of that. But make it a Justice League movie. Don't make it a Flash movie. Because that's ultimately where Flashpoint on the CW failed. It was a Flash episode. It wasn't a full, It wasn't a full crossover. It wasn't the full cross-show crossover. And I think that'd be a much better way to do a Flash movie, especially considering then you can have Ezra do his commitments with Fantastic Beasts, and I think it'd go very well with what is. With what Barry is, and he's a hero who recognizes that things need to happen for the greater good, and I think that'd be a good way to really introduce him and show him as, a hero, and especially if he's someone who's not quite as seasoned in something else. It's like, all of these people are here, they're all people who he's dealt with before. Oh, if you really need a sixth person, bring back Jai Courtney. Put him in as Captain Boomerang. But yeah, that's how I would do a Flash movie, is that you would do a Rogues movie featuring the Flash, and that'd be a way to get him in there and introduced easily. So we'll wrap that up here for today. We'll be back with another movie next week. I don't know what movie yet, but we will find out when I look at what comes out this week. I am Adam, and we will be back with maybe we'll finally do Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End next week. But have a good rest of your week.